Welcome everyone to another Malware Geek review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Comodo Cloud Antivirus. This particular product is more geared towards everyday average users as opposed to their internet security product, as this is more automated and it doesn't include the firewall or the HIPs, but it does have some exciting features that I decided to take a look at today, and it's been a while since I've given Comodo the full review treatment. So if we dive into the product and we take a look at its usability and its user interface, I really do like this user interface. I think it gives you plenty of information, as well as has everything that you're going to need to have to, run the product and find what you need to find. For example, up here, it allows you to easily check for program updates. Since this is an entirely cloud-based program in terms of the signatures, you don't have to update the database, which is nice for the average user because, they don't have to worry about that, So the program stays up to date. I will check for updates right now just to do it on camera. No new updates. Here you have your scan tab, your run virtual tab, your logs and your quarantine, so you can start a scan if you want, run a program virtually. View the logs or the quarantine right from the main interface, which is nice. Down here it shows you the number of detected threats and the number of applications in the sandbox. Here you can turn the real-time protection on and off, including the antivirus and the sandbox. Over here is a new component that I've never seen. It's called Valkyrie. I was doing some research on this particular component, and it basically analyzes files dynamically, looks at the entire execution process of the file, and sees what it wants to do, whether it's malicious or not malicious, whereas sometimes a file will actually get caught by behavior blockers during a certain step of the program if it's violating a certain rule of the behavior blocker. This program, or this product, from what I understand, or this component, analyzes the entire execution of the file and then determines whether it's malicious or needs to be submitted for human analysis or whatever. Let me actually pull up their website really quick. Hang on a second. Here's their website. It's their advanced file analysis system, like I was saying. It uses using runtime behavior. Hundreds of features from a file are based on the analysis results, can warn users against malware undetected by classic antivirus products. So like I was saying, basically it looks at the runtime behavior of the product, determines whether it's malware or potentially unwanted program or whatever, and then the human expert will look at it, as well as Valkyrie, and most of the time it seems to be pretty right, at least from what they're putting on their website. For example, this file right here was uploaded yesterday, and Valkyrie determined it to be malware. The labs also determined it to be malware, and so on and so forth. So this is a rather exciting idea. So we'll see what happens. We'll test it out and find out how well it works. They also have their virus scope, which is more of their traditional behavior blocker. It also looks at the behavior of the file, but it seems to do it quicker than I think Valkyrie is going to do it, since Valkyrie is going to use several analysis techniques and looking at the entire file and what it wants to do. So we'll see. I think this is more of a long-term type of zero-day behavioral analysis than maybe Viruscope is. So anyways, continuing on our look at the product, we have our settings up here. I wish the settings button was on the user interface, instead of obscure and off to the left here, but it's not too hard to find. Here you can turn your different general settings off for your user interface, your updates, your antivirus, sandbox, file rating, and your browser protection, which is always nice. And they do give you some advanced features for those advanced users who may want to use this product. They also have their little widget up here which shows you the number of files that have been detected as malicious, as well as applications that are in the sandbox, as well as you can start a scan and stuff. As well as access your browser, which I think this actually starts a Sandbox browser if I remember correctly. And access, Comodo's social networking sites as well. We're going to turn this off just for everybody's convenience. I don't use it on my computer either, so I don't feel too bad about turning it off. Anyways, we have some malicious URLs here. Enough of me talking about the product and diving into it, but it does have some exciting features. Let's get testing. Let's check out its memory usage. It is a little high for a cloud-based product, but it's not overly heavy because I haven't noticed any kind of a system slowdown or anything like that. So let's go ahead and launch our browser here and start punching these links in. These are fresh links from today. Gathered them all from my sources. So we're going to see how well Comodo can protect us. Again, it is up to date. So let's find out here. Here's our first file. We'll go ahead and run it. And that's really weird. It runs a command line. I'm not sure if it's doing anything malicious. By the way, all shields are on for Comodo, so... But I can type in this command line, which makes me think that it's maybe not as malicious as it seems to be. Oh well, we'll move on. We'll see if it did anything in a little while. This, I think, is some kind of malicious script. Not sure if this is actually going to do anything or if it's just going to... Let me try to put it in as an executable and see if it'll load up if I put a double extension on. No, it doesn't. So, anyways, I have some more links that I can grab, so it's not a big deal. Here's our next file. Lowrider.exe. Okay, it's been caught by the sandbox. Just by the icon there, kind of makes me think it's ransomware. Not sure. So we'll see what happens, or if Viruscope detects it, or what the deal is. It wasn't detected by the signatures, though. But Comodo is not known for having great signatures, so... But we'll give it a chance. This one is also caught by the sandbox. It's trying to launch... probably spawn a child process there. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's spawning a bunch of stuff. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on inside the sandbox right now, actually. Yeah, it did spawn child processes, I thought, right here. And there's actually another one running as well that's associated with that one. So, this one, by the application name, I believe is probably some sort of ransomware or a banking Trojan. But we do have some files being analyzed by Valkyrie right now. So, we'll see what happens. Anyways, we'll move along. Did I already do that one? Let me see. No, I didn't. Okay. Let's run this file. That one is also isolated by the sandbox. It's nice. It shows you exactly what the files are doing in terms of launching, child processes and whatnot. Oh, warning, your Flash player may be out of date. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, sure. But as you can see, this browser session that this malware has launched is actually sandboxed because it's in a green outline here, which indicates it's in the sandbox. We'll do this because this ought to be interesting. This is probably more malware. I'm very curious to see what this file is going to try to do. But we'll let it run. Anyways, it's inside the sandbox, so this actually might be some adware. It looks adware-ish. But you never know, it might try to download some crap in the background. Actually, it looks like it's going to install a bunch of crap. Anyways, moving along, we have this next file, videos.exe, because we all know a video is a executable file. That one has been blocked by the antivirus as unclassified malware, so we will get rid of it. So there's our first signature detection. Yeah, it looks like we have some stuff going on in the... Oh yeah, definitely. Here's our next malicious file. Randomly named executable file, because those are all legit. That one I think has... Yeah, see, as you can see here, it is launching a bunch of stuff. I think this is all adware-ish type behavior. That last file I didn't get an alert for, though, this randomly named executable. There we go. Unclassified malware by Comodo, and it has blocked the execution of the file. So that's 2 signature detections. Let's move on. Here's another randomly named executable file. Because again, you know, those are legit, and it has been blocked as well by the antivirus as unclassified malware. The machine is definitely slow, but I think that's because we have a lot of stuff going on inside the sandbox right now. All this malware is actually trying to, you know, this is what would be going on if it wasn't inside the sandbox. But we can easily, which I like, they have the nice clean sandbox button here, which if none of these processes terminate, I will go ahead and do that. And as you can see, we have definitely malicious behavior going on because the machine is really, really slow. So let me go ahead and pause the video, see if I can terminate this malware so we can go ahead and continue with the test. Okay, so as I was pausing the video, I got a virus scope alert that this randomly named executable right here, which I think is one of the ones that I loaded up. Let me check up here. Yeah, right here. From this home car pet shopping.com is probably CryptoLocker, which is VirusScope's way of saying that we have ransomware. And as you can see, it looks like it's loading up its ransom notes. Yeah. So all of this is Sandbox, though. The VirusScope alert has disappeared. I don't know if it's probably because this browser thing is trying to stay on top. But I will quarantine it because I can't seem to... I think this thing is trying to stay on top. This looks like actually like a tech support scam. So we will quarantine that. It's nice that they allow you to take action from the sandbox and get rid of the files. So while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and grab another link for that one that wouldn't load up. So I'll be back. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do, just so we can get going here, is reset the sandbox, because a lot of this malware is, we have some adware-ish crap that's on here that was downloaded by this Prime Updater thing. I'm going to have to go ahead and clean out the sandbox, because it's getting really hard to use this machine, simply because we have so much going on inside the sandbox right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean all this out, and then at the end what we'll do is we'll just check the machine with Hitman Pro and Zamana and see if there's any malware that actually got through. So I'm going to clean all these malicious processes up, which is nice. It gets rid of them immediately. I mean, that was fast. They're gone now. So now we can continue with the test. So that is one thing that, you know, it takes a while for Comodo to do, is, you know, get rid of the malicious processes. I don't know if this is an infected web page or what, or if it was before. It's a Blogspot page though, so it would be really surprising if it was actually infected. Here's our last executable file here, and it is blocked by the antivirus as unclassified malware. So let me grab a couple more links, and then we'll finish up the this part of the test. So I'll be back. Okay, so it doesn't appear that this web page here was doing anything. So I'll just grab, I got a couple more files here we can try. Here's our first one, executable random numbers and letters.exe. Blocked by the antivirus, unclassified malware. And here is a JavaScript file. So we will save this one on the desktop. Publisher couldn't be verified. We'll run it. It's isolated. Seems to have crashed inside the sandbox. I don't know if it's actually malicious or not. So let me see if there is another link here that I can try. Let's try this one. Looks like that malicious file has been removed. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so I looked up the MD5 hash of this last file right here that I tried to load. It's definitely malicious. It's detected by 29 out of 59 engines on VirusTotal. Interestingly enough, it's not detected by Comodo. Obviously, as we saw, because the antivirus didn't block it. But it looks to be some sort of a Trojan exploit. I've seen this name Black Hole before, which was actually the name of an exploit kit. So it could be some sort of an exploit. But it's definitely malicious, but it crashed inside the sandbox. So not sure if that was because it was missing the program that it was trying to exploit, or if it just couldn't do anything, so it just terminated. So either way, Comodo did catch it inside the sandbox, so I'm satisfied with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Zamana and Hitman Pro. We're going to make sure that no malware was allowed to sneak through the sandbox or the antivirus. And then we'll do the detection ratio. So I'll be back. Okay, so Hitman Pro finished scanning. It didn't find anything, and neither did Zamana. So that's a perfect clean sheet for Comodo. As you saw, the malware was allowed to load up, but it didn't make any changes to the system. Wasn't allowed to stick around for long. Of course, their signature detection wasn't really that great, but their default deny actually does work really well there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to see what the overall detection rate of Comodo Cloud Antivirus is. I'm going to grab my malware pack, stick it on the desktop. I'm going to temporarily disable the antivirus for now, just so I can get the malware file onto the desktop, and to make it a little bit quicker so that the real-time protection isn't removing files. And then we will see what the overall detection rate is and test out its 0-day capabilities, although we've kind of seen how it works. We're going to go through the general usual routines as we normally do. So I'll be back as soon as I get my malware file. Okay, so we are back. I've dragged the malware onto the desktop. We have 681 of our uninvited samples here. So I'm going to scan with Comodo, see how many it detects and removes, and then we'll do the 0-day component. So I'll be back. Okay, so Comodo finished scanning, scanned it twice, and it left over 558 items, which translates to a detection ratio of 18.06%. Abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. But I don't believe that is the direction that Comodo is trying to go, is towards signatures. I think they're trying to get away from signatures. But that is a terrible detection ratio nonetheless. They still do have signatures, and that is absolutely terrible. So, but we're going to see how Comodo handles some of this malware. Now, from my understanding, Comodo does differentiate between files that are already on the machine, or that files that come from USB drives or the internet or network drives. So let's see how it handles it. This, of course, comes from a network drive. That one is detected by VirusScope as a Trojan when it went into the sandbox. Let's try this one. That one is also isolated. That one as well. As you can see, they are relying heavily on the Sandbox, which has been the case with Comodo for a while, because honestly their detection ratio is pretty bad. But as we can see, some of these are crashing inside the Sandbox. Like shell.exe. Well, that sounds like a legit file. Totally legit. As you can see, we have things crashing inside the Sandbox. Malware 31. As we can see, some of these have, like this was a child process of some other file, because that wasn't there before, and I don't have anything that's named with any kind of letters. So I'll launch a few more of these, and then we'll move on. We'll do a scan with Zamana and Hitman Pro. So I'm wondering if there's anything, because I haven't gotten an alert for the Sandbox, but it might be delayed. But I'm not seeing any kind of alerts from the Sandbox, which kind of makes me wonder if those last files that I just executed actually got caught in the Sandbox, or if they're running around in memory. So, well, we have some files once again being analyzed by Valkyrie. So I'm going to let this machine run for a minute, and then I'll be back and I'll do a scan with, I'll delete the malware folder, and I'll do a scan with Hitman Pro and Zamana. So I'll be back. Okay, so we have finally more stuff running inside the Sandbox. As we can see, we're also getting virus scope alerts. I've gotten a few of these since the camera has been off. Malware 24 has been detected as a generic Trojan, so we will get rid of it. It is exciting to see their zero-day components are really working. I mean, in my opinion, really well together. I'm seeing a lot of, the Sandbox is obviously isolating stuff, but we're also seeing, I'm seeing some things in memory that I'm not seeing in the Sandbox, which kind of makes me think that they're running around in memory, like this one. So, but we'll see. So, just to show you how deceptive malware can be, we have this one right here, host process for Windows. Guarantee you that's not the host process for Windows. It's named SVC host, and it has that application name. It's not SVC host. It's malware. That's how deceptive malware can be sometimes. Now, we do have some SVC hosts running, which are legit, but I guarantee you that this particular one right here is probably not. Just to see. So, anyways, I'm going to delete the malware folder and probably terminate all this malware, and then we'll see if anything was able to sneak through. So, I'll be back. Okay, so Hitman Pro and Zamana both finished scanning, and they didn't find any malware after I cleaned out the Sandbox. So, my final verdict on Comodo Cloud Antivirus. I'm really torn on this product. I will be blatantly honest about it. I really am torn. On the one hand, its signature detection ratio is absolutely abysmal. In fact, it's the lowest detection ratio I've seen. However, on the other hand, its zero-day components are very active and kept the machine totally clean despite the fact that its signature detections are terrible. Another thing is, for a cloud-based anti-malware solution, the memory usage is a little high. However, with that being said, here's my thought on this as well. I think it has more going on in the back end than, obviously traditional anti-malware solutions have, with, signatures where they store them in the cloud and it takes less, resource usage and that sort of stuff. Because you have the Sandbox here and you have Valkyrie as well running around and, preventing malware infections. So I'm really torn on this product because the detection ratio is absolutely abysmal and the memory usage for a cloud-based anti-malware solution is a little high. However, like I said, when I see zero-day components working and preventing infections, despite a poor detection ratio, I generally will recommend a product. Because, I actually sometimes, and a lot of the time, will put more emphasis on zero-day components because I think they're more effective at preventing malware infection. Signatures are good, but you have to know about the malware before you can actually block it with signatures, and signatures do take a while to catch up. However, with this product, obviously the detection ratio, like I said, is abysmal, but the machine is totally clean. Not one malware sample was able to make any kind of malicious changes. No startup items, none of that. No hollow processes. We're not seeing any Trojans running. So right now I'm going to say that there's better options out there simply because of the abysmal detection ratio. And, I'm not quite sure what their Valkyrie system does right now. It does take a long time to analyze the file. It didn't determine any of them to be malicious at this point. So, at this point, I'm not going to recommend it just because of their abysmal detection ratio and, maybe they could bring the resource usage down a little bit. Like I said, I put a lot of emphasis on zero-day components. And like when Quick Heal had a horrible detection ratio, I still recommended it because its behavior blocker was, quite active. But on the other hand, its detection ratio wasn't as bad as Comodo's. And this isn't functioning really like an antivirus, in my opinion. It's functioning more like a host intrusion prevention system. So y'all can make your own decision, but right now I'm going to say there are better options out there just because, I think that the general user, even though this is more automatic and probably geared more towards the average user, the general average user is probably not going to know how to handle that situation that I had earlier where everything was locked up and the machine was really slow. They're not going to really know to go in there and clear out the sandbox. So, I think they're moving in the right direction, but I think it needs more work. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.